Let's see here. There we go. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Just Jump In live stream. It's good to be back. Let me know if you can hear me so we know the audio is working. And I don't know what happened to my Just Jump In little sign that I wanted to put on here. It disappeared a while ago, and I think that's when all of the shows went haywire. But it's good to be back. It's good that you can hear me. Let's see. So jumping in here and seeing who's here. We said hello to Ken. He was first in here and got the cookie tonight. Tim, how are you doing? Welcome in. And Mom, hi. Nice to see you're in here. Rail Artist, welcome. So I know it was a while ago that you were in Central Time, Rail Artist. Gopher Girl, welcome. Keep the riffraff at bay, please, when you're in here. And if everybody would say a happy birthday to Gopher Girl, it was her birthday yesterday. She was, I think, 29 years old. So, okay. So what have I been doing other than fighting with all this audio and video? Those of you in the Facebook group, let's get some better light in here. Oh, not so bright that I can't see anything. There we go. So I had picked these up at the convention through the raffle. These are from Menards. Let's see what we can get these in here. And so just to keep my skills going, I did some work on these so that they weren't so bright and toy-like. And that consisted of panel liner and some mostly panel liner, because when I went online to look at some of these equipment, they keep the equipment really clean. So I'm sure after jobs they clean them off. So the main thing I used on here was panel liner. Even with a dull coat, these wheels cleaned up. These are supposed to be dusty. So I used some powders on that to make those make the wheels dusty. But as you can see, just handling them or whatever, even with the dull coat, they came off. The other unfortunate thing I didn't think about, so rookie mistake, I guess you would say, or not so rookie mistake. You can see these were crystal clear windows. And you can see they're foggy now, and that's because I dull coated them without covering those up. So that was unfortunate. Same thing with this one. I don't know if it can focus on it, but it was crystal clear. You could see right through that, and I dull coated it, and here you can see in the back window kind of how clear it was, because apparently I didn't dull coat the back of this. The other thing I did, these tracks were yellow. This whole thing, it was all yellow. And I used the Posca markers just to blacken those in. So that was a little, it was like there actually was there actually was a little bit of detail in there. Definitely wasn't going to open these up to detail them. I suppose this could come off though, but yeah. Hey, Split Rock. Welcome in. Nice to see you in here. Um, the thumbnail had a very special picture for Diana. Um, so I brought home the blanket that I also won at the raffle for, and handed it to Gopher Girl. Gopher Girl put it on her. She was loving it, but both dogs saw it and jumped on her, and then they were like, they liked the feeling of it too, and she went to get up from her chair, put it down next to her on the other chair. We have a love seat, and she put it on there, and Bailey, her young one, jumped up on top of it, and that's the picture you see in the thumbnail. And since then she hasn't been able to um, it's no longer hers. um so let Diana know that Gopher Girl loved it, but so did the dogs. The other thing I was going to try out for the tank, when I get back to the tank, and you'll have to look at probably at the Facebook page. This doesn't come out really well, but I'm trying this Vallejo weathering effects, thick mud. And I mean, I could go outside, probably get some dirt and wet it, but it's just looks like thick mud, and it looks good, better than you can see on here. But that was one of the few projects I did. I had four of my 3D printed cars. I forget what I brought them to the modelers retreat. Let's see if we can go the other way. I brought them to the modelers retreat, and in the box on the way home, all of them lost their couplers. The coupler pockets were 3D printed and everything, so I had to deal with their 3D printed pockets and everything. You could see that one. They all have Katie couplers. I've defaulted to 148s for everything, so I just buy them in bulk, or the little bulk packs of like 25. So I took a night, and that didn't take long, but I got them back together, got the wheel sets back on. And these wheel sets, I've also defaulted to printing out 3D printed wheel sets. They're not my design, but I printed a lot of them because they work. They look uniform, or they look good. And so they all have those. Obviously, some printed in gray, some printed in black here. Yes, Mom. These are all HO scale. It'll be hard to same as these. That's HO scale too, and that's HO scale as well. So I fixed those up, and so the why I'm doing these filler projects is I had bought two replacement needles for my airbrush, and I bent both of those. I lost the protective cap, so when I put it away, those were getting bent. So I went and purchased two more needles and a protective cap. And then I got somebody else's order, and it's taking them forever to fix the order, fix the issue. And it's a company I've never had a problem with. I really like. I always look at the US Airbrush, because they're an NMRA partner, and you get a discount there. So I certainly want to try to support them, but they have mostly Badger stuff. What Spray Gunner has, that's who I've been using, is they have a no-name brand, which they put together, and things are much cheaper that way. So I have a no-name airbrush, and to make sure the needle fits and everything, the size is right. I have one of their airbrushes. It's one of those. I use the ones that have the battery, and the compressor has 2 speeds. But here you're not going to be able to see the needle that close, but when it's put away in here, needle bends. So I'm waiting for them to resolve it. I was talking to Gopher Girl, and I was saying, look, they may ask me to send that stuff back, but I still haven't received the replacement order for the stuff I ordered. So I might just open that airbrush and just use that one. And I don't know what's going on with the other person that ordered, but when the box came, it had my slip in there with my order. So somebody was either not paying attention, or, hey, Colin, welcome in. Nice to see you in here. Glad you remembered. So they either made a mistake going too fast or something, put the packing slip inside the wrong boxes, whatever it may be, or maybe they were just vindictive and they want to screw up orders because they don't like their job or something. I don't know. If they do that, I was telling Gopher Girl, I have respect for them, mad respect for them, because they would go and do something that, if they did that on purpose. So anyway, so I've been doing some just projects to before I go back to the tank, because the tank, I'm at the point where I'm painting everything on the tank, and I need the airbrush to do, or would like the airbrush to do that. So, but these, I don't remember if I put pictures up of these, but there is a there's a YouTuber, and I'll try to find his channel, who's been for years has been doing weathering, and I follow other other weathering people, several other ones, but I was following one of his ideas for a extremely dirty and rusty look to the cars I have here. And so I went through, so I practiced on both of them. All of the sides got weathered. Hard to see, I think, a little bit through the camera. I think it would be nicer to see him on the layout, or if I took a picture. He did this one process. The process he did, he actually started with acrylic paints, and that worried me, because acrylic paints are harder. You have to really thin them down if you want them to kind of spread like they're dripping and things like that. And so, like you can see in this one, if you're looking up close, they look like blobs. They don't look natural to me. And so I didn't cover them up as well using that first step. So from 3 feet, with the 3 feet rule, this looks good, but that first step I didn't like. And I also wanted to continue to practice using oils. I'm very impatient, and so oils, I tend to mess up oils because I don't wait for them to dry. But so the process to do one of these is several days, because you're waiting overnight for 24 hours. The cake split rock is still in the freezer. because it was like a day of eating. We had like 2 meals in short succession, and we were very full last night. So we haven't dug in yet. I think maybe we'll dig in the um, after the live stream, possibly. Um, so Gopher Girl grew up with her favorite ice cream is Baskin Robbins chocolate chip. And there are a few Baskin Robbins in the Twin Cities area. They're pretty far away. So went down to the Dunkin' Donuts and Baskin Robbins in Lakeville, the one that's near like um, Cracker Barrel and that area. And I got her a cake with just a white cake and half white cake, half ice cream. So we'll dig into that soon. Rollers, yeah. When you move, they get into bottoms of boxes and all over the place. Can't imagine you've unpacked everything yet. So, yeah, I use when I'm using powders, I use the Monroe Models, which used to be called AIM powders. Monroe Models. He's up in he's up in St. Cloud area, I think, or just below the St. Cloud area. The guy who owns Monroe Models, they do other stuff, but I like using their powders. They stick well. They do. I mean, some of it comes off when you're spraying, and I actually use them on. I use them on the wheels with paint. So I used a rust paint from Vallejo, and then powders to give them a little bit of crunchiness, I guess you would say. And I use this. This is another 3D printed item, not my design again, but I use this for the wheels. And you put the wheels in between, and it protects the wheels and keeps them clean where they need to be clean. And I don't know why this camera jumps these things. Let me pull one out, see if we can. Let's see if we can get. Of course, we can't. So let's see if we can get a better picture here by getting up close. But you can see that's very blurry. You can see the griminess. Take my bandaged hand out of the way. But you can see the griminess, and that's the powders mixed into the paint. So I'll paint it first, and I'll dump the powders on it. And that's how I get it in there. And then, so when I'm painting and putting the powders on, I put them in here. And then, so I haven't actually sprayed these. So these, and I don't handle the wheels much anymore because I've seen one of those times that I used oils on the wheels once, and just handling it, the oils were on my hands. So, but I like this. Micromark has like a clear version of this, and it's like $19.99 or something, I believe. The guy who designed this was giving it away for free if you can print it. And at the time, I had my cousin's husband print them before I had a printer. But if I need to go back and print this again, I have the file and can just print it now from home. So those will go on this right here. But I actually like how this came out. I just don't like that step with the acrylics on there. But I mean, these were heavy things. Heavy weathering on these. Here, let's go to this one. So when I was putting the dots on, he was saying, and he was putting them lower too, and then he would put oil over top of them, and he would streak them, and they seemed to stay okay. And the streaks would stay, but I couldn't get that to work right with that. So it just looks like weird spots. It doesn't look natural to me. Oh, so by the way, Gopher Girl, if you think I have bad dad jokes, they're calling for you. So then there was one other project I was working on, but before I jump into the other project, I'd love to hear what everybody else is working on. I know we're moving into the summer now, so most of you are probably going to be outside and not doing as much modeling. I said to Gopher Girl the other day, I said, summer is the reason that I'm inside modeling, but curious to see hear what everybody else is working on. Well, I grab this here. So I'm starting to learn some of what the letters mean and everything with the engines and stuff. And so this is an F. It's a what is it? An F? Not an F40. There's one other letter in there, and then a PH on the end, and that's a passenger. And head end is for the H, meaning it's diesel electric, I believe is what that means. It's too. Like I said, I'm learning it. But this is a type of engine that was around in I think the late 80s, early 90s, that New Jersey Transit, Amtrak. This T is Boston's commuter line. And so thinking ahead about having to build engines or build motive power, not necessarily engines, but thinking about it anyway, I went looking for models, used models. So just to get one to attempt to do some 3D printing or design some 3D printing. So I how come you didn't get a bunch of us to come out and help with the brush cutting? You know, with some beers and pizza probably would get us all out there to cut it for you. But that's quite a project. I was wondering if you were doing that on your layout. If you had any spots where you were where you had blind spots for the trains. Colin, I am not planning to repaint this logo. It would be a good practice piece to do it. So this is strictly a model for design. I forget I don't know if it's Rapido that put one out, but there's another one that put one out. This is a Bachmann. It's older. And when you open it up, this reminds me of N scale because this whole thing is weight. The whole thing is frame. It's just like N scale where you have little plastic pieces separating the frame and everything. Came with a couple little people in there and everything. So what I wanted this for was measurements, was angles, designs, so that I can build so I could build one from scratch. The engine works decently well in here for being older. I got this from Big John's hobby shop. I went down there on the hopes that he would have something, and he happened to have it, so he gave it to me for $20. And here it has that's the inside now for lighting. It has the beacon lights on there. So I got this initially for design. Now I certainly, when I get to a point where I need an engine for the more engines for the layout, that's when I would probably tackle repainting this for New Jersey Transit or Amtrak, one of the two. So what I did is I went into Onshape and started to freehand design the shell. So let's pull that off here. As I always tell you, I have the ability to mess up measurements completely. There is a question I have for you guys that maybe you all could help me, but I did go into Onshape, and let's pull that up to show you. What an F40PH-2 is what this is. But let me see if that comes up. But all right. So let's do this. So here's the design. Most of the main things I have to get down are the angles of everything. This engine is angled inward, and kind of, the front is inward and up. So is the hood and the roof. They go more inward. They're not flat. You can on here. And then in the back, they're angled, and on the corners, they're angled. So if you're looking, well, then what happened there? Okay, I did something weird. How about I do that and get back that screen? So you can see here that there's angles here and here. These are angled. This is where they would have a railing here. And then you can see that the roof edge is angled, that you have all these angles here. That's the hardest part. And so my question to the crew is, how do I measure angles? I was just taking a stab. So now if we look at this, first of all, I notice now that I'm looking at, I totally didn't angle the window. I tried to, and I didn't angle this inward like that one, so it's very square there. I angled these. You can sort of see the edge here of the angle. It's like a 5-degree angle I did. I have no idea how to measure this to get the right angle, so if anybody can help me with figuring out how to get these angles. This is also a guess, and I was just trying to make it look right from just a perspective of where everything is placed. I was trying to get that right, so I got it close. I had even the roof angles were smaller, but the the edges didn't seem to match up too well here. And so I angled them more. They look better. But yeah, anybody who can help with that, I would really appreciate it. Apparently, I made this too thin, and I just bent it, which is fine. This is a little bit thicker, so I mismeasured that. And I did get, and here again, this is like I use like 5-degree angle on everything. This is almost looks flat here compared to this. So I got to figure that out. From a length perspective, it's very close. I'm impressed with how close it is. So some of my measuring wasn't too bad, but I gotta get help with those angles. The other thing is when I design this, I've got to figure a way to get rid of that so that it has that it has room to fit when I do. I mean, this is square here, but it still still goes up to the shell. And so when I get this in here, that needs to cut out because that can't come down, and this is angled on here. So the actual the width is good. That came out good. That fits. But it was a good first attempt, better than I could have expected. But I need to keep working on this to get this hopefully as detailed as I can. Put in like I put in the door and and you can't see the door edges. I wasn't able to get that in. I'll have to scribe that in somehow, but I was able to get the rear lights sockets on there. I'll have to do that on the front end as well. So Colin, on Shape you can do that. You can add a photo in. You absolutely can do that. And then I just have to scale it correctly to make sure it's that way. So you use Jimmy use a contractor's protractor to take a look at. See if I can find that. Let's see. How do you find one small enough for models? So I typed in, so a couple things come up when I type in and type contractor's protractor and it goes out to Amazon. So let's share that for a second. Let's see. So this is what I get. So wondering if one of these looks like the one you use, and let's see. Harbor Freight. We'll take a look there. So they're showing these angle finders. Oop. So, looks like they're brand specific. Looking at the, let's see if we just did. That's not what I want. So it looks like the same type of things come up. Let's see if we can. Is that something like what you use? Gotcha. So I guess I got a road trip tomorrow. Have to go stop in and take a look at those. Crazy tech? What crazy tech? Do you mean 3D work? Hey, Colin, is TurboCAD, is that a free program or is that a paid program? And Split Rock, have you attempted to do anything with the car that I printed for you? Very delicate with the center beam, super delicate and probably pretty annoying to work with. At least when I printed the first one, it was just handling it and gluing it together was problematic. So, is it going to have? Is it going to be a Split Rock Mining Company owned center beam? How about we give? There we go. So yeah, so that's what I've been working on. I really have to get back to the cars. I've been kind of itching to get the track work and things started on modules, but I have to produce the modules. The person who was originally going to work on it, I kind of lost contact with them, and so that didn't pan out. So I'm gonna have to do something about that and get the modules. Now, my original plan was 2x4 modules, 2 foot by 4 foot. And with my current space, this is going to be my mock-up of what the layout would look like. Let's see. So let's see if we can get. It will be a trailer train. Okay. So with the current space, I have to plan as if the current space is what I'm going to use. Certainly would like to have bigger space to do this because it's passenger train. So you're talking 85-foot cars. And the main line is 4 tracks for most of the area that I'm working with. So to simulate it in South Jersey South Jersey, Trenton Station, trains go into Philadelphia from Trenton Station. They're kind of right over the water from each other. It still takes a long time between stations. And then the feature station is going to be the New Brunswick station, the one I grew up with. And then I was going to have Newark Station. Newark is where New Jersey Transit is headquartered. If you know Dave Abley's and his Onondaga cutoff layout, he works in Newark. He's the head of stations, so he travels around all the stations. But Newark is a northern city in New Jersey, and then the tunnel from the tunnel is not in Newark; it's outside of Newark. But the tunnels under the Hudson goes into New York City, goes into Penn Station, and that's 2 tracks. So I was going to do something with that and then have Penn Station. And Penn Station, I think, if I remember correctly, it was something like 21 tracks. So there's going to be selective compression and a lot of compression. And I was going to try and squeeze in, like 6 tracks maybe if I was lucky. And thinking about it on 2 foot, it's not going to work at all. I might be able to get, I'm 4 tracks on 2 foot, but I also, part of the requirement is to have some sort of turnaround. And Sunnyside Yard outside of New York, outside of Penn Station, outside of the city is where there's Amtrak facility and a turnaround. Now the reason for the cab car is because they don't turn around a lot of their trains, and that's not a New Jersey Transit yard, Sunnyside Yard, but that's where I would do the turnaround. Can't do a turnaround with these cars on 2 feet, so this isn't going to work. So that wouldn't be a module I would even work on right now. I'd have to figure out what I was going to do with all of that. And the other thing too is the curves. There's no way I'm going to get these curves in. I was working with a group of modelers from who model not necessarily New Jersey Transit, but they model Northeast Quarter and they model passenger cars. And I was working with them, and I think you could get down to I believe they'll work with a 24-inch radius, but that's really, really tight. And most of the advice was 30 inches lowest, and so those are big sweeping curves. So this isn't really going to be a possible plan, but at least maybe I can get some straight track out of it. I can do New Brunswick Station and bridge work because you need to build a bridge. And the New Jersey Transit train station is actually, there's a bridge right there because the track is raised, 15 or 20 feet off the ground there. And then it goes out over the Raritan River. So I could do a river scene here. Potentially, and still have, but I could use just this area the bridge area, but I could do that as well. So that's the dream with the current space that I have. So curves just aren't going to be sustainable, though. Penn Station is super ambitious. I don't do anything easy. I try to make things as hard as possible on myself. Yeah, Colin, I actually thought about, and there's an old set of videos on YouTube where a guy actually built in the Northeast Quarter from Trenton to New York in N scale in his garage, and I thought about maybe doing that for some of it. Let's take a look at the achievement program. I would assume it's the civil because it won't be. I don't think it might be for electrical potentially, but that doesn't sound right. Let's see here. Categories. Engineering, civil. Passing signs, reversing loop. Yeah, that would be under civil. So Split Rock, would I get credit if I just? I mean, I don't know what part of the credit you would get, but I know you're supposed. Part of the thing is to prepare a drawing of it. I have a drawing, and it's not the final one. But could this be submitted? This drawing as part of the certificate? Okay, so you just need to include it in your scale drawing. Let's see here. So in other words, this obviously doesn't have has a kind of a crossover here as part of the station, but if I was to just show you this, you would give me credit for showing you the turnaround, is what you're saying essentially as part of this. The plan must include these things. The track work must have examples of 6 of the following features. So okay, so there's 1,000 things on here. So I could technically submit this as my plan, but then I need one of the things could be an ash pit, and that's not anywhere that's going to be on this layout. But if I have that on something that I build, that could be acceptable. So I see, because there's a list of 2, 3, 6, 9, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18 items. And then there's another that on the list, and you need to pick 6 of those items. I guess no, it definitely is not to scale. I don't no, it's not to scale. It's the only scale piece of this is these are representing 2x4, 2 foot by 4 foot modules. So I would have room for 10 feet in length and 8 feet long for the room I would be able to do this in. So that's why I came up with this plan. So, which is the facility. Um, and the other thing too is, there are going to be spurs for parking trains. There are going to be other things that are on here. This is simplified to the plan that I'd be working on. So I don't know what I have to understand and figure out what I can do with these module sizes, and see how much I can get away with. I'm wondering if I could get away with 2 tracks versus 4 tracks. But I think the advice I got was the minimum for real usable curves, the minimum would be like 30 inches. And I still can't picture that myself on the plan. And I tried to do this in NMRA, and that was confusing enough. Let me see if I can pull up NMRA. Okay, so that wasn't it. So let's see if I can share what I was trying to do. And I don't even know if this is in, if it's in scale. Let me see if I can pull it up. Maybe I can't. Let's see. Oh, I suppose I can. Let's see. So this is what I was testing out. This is a mock-up of the layout setup. So over here, I was thinking would be Sunnyside Yard. These would be the tunnels, and this would be the track work. And you can see the angles are all wonky on there. Let me see if I can zoom in. So you can see these angles are all different because this is a part I need help with. This is not a measuring, and all this is just not good. I'm just not good at this stuff. So I've got to sit down with somebody to work through it. So yeah, Split Rock, I do want to do the overhead wire, not live because I would shock myself to death, but I do want to make sure that's part of the prototype of the model. For any so that's what I was thinking. Could I just to do curves, do 2 tracks and expand out to 4? But that takes room again and turnouts to get to 4 tracks. But I do want to do the 4-track main line. Yeah, NMRA, and I'm not paying for the NMRA, so I know there's limitations on the track and making sure I use the right track. I don't think I'm what I was gonna. Most of the track is cement ties, so I think I got microscale. Not microscale, micro engineering track. I got a set of that, but I'm going to need a lot more. And I don't know that they have. You have to go into the track libraries, and so I don't have them all in here. There's some weird ones I've never seen before, and then you've got to find there. Let's see if they. So they do have microengineering. So if I did code 83 is what I assume, and then it has a certain amount that she can use. Let's see here. Let's see if it gives description. So these, that's it's just different kinds of flex track, and I don't know why I was clicking them in there. Let me see if I can get rid of those. So it has them, so maybe I did use those. That would be smart of me. But yeah, I'm definitely going to need some help working through this. Okay. Scarm, I've heard of Scarm. I watched some videos on Scarm, but I haven't dove into the software on there. So what would be nice if this would actually tell me, and maybe it does somehow, and I just don't know how. Maybe is there a way in here to tell me like what curve that is? Okay, so when I clicked on that, it doesn't show you on your screen because it's a pop-up, I guess. I don't know, but that's actually Atlas track. Atlas uses concrete. They have concrete track too. I can't see if it's telling me. I don't know if it's. Is that saying it's radius? That can't be right, is it? Let's go into the details. Oh, so yeah, so the way you see it on here, it's telling me that this inner track is 18, 22, then 24. I think I was playing with those. And 26 is what these are on this corner here. So obviously these are going to be too tight. At least two of them are going to be too tight for sure. So, and you can see how far back they are on the table. I don't, I'll have to center those, or because I'm thinking that I'm going to want more scenery on the front end here if I'm doing the station out front. So when you're going to the New Brunswick station, New Brunswick station is a building out front, and it connects to the platform in the back. The Trenton station goes over top of the tracks, as does obviously Penn Station. I'll have to look more at Newark because I don't know that station as well. Yeah, I have to figure out. I know I have to figure out how much of the track needs to be built. Like I know you have to build some of the things like turnouts and crossovers. But for that, yes, my plan is to use flex track. The Atlas track and the microengineering track are with the concrete are flex track. I haven't found any of the concrete ones that are sectional. So I'd have to look for that. The other thing too is I certainly, if I'm going to build any of the track, I want to see if I can learn how to get, make the concrete ties and make the flexible concrete ties. Yeah. And I have this really awesome engineer's guide that can be very helpful on figuring out what I can model. So let's remove that. Let's go back to that. So I have this book, this rail operations book that apparently they give to engineers who are not normally on these tracks. Let's see here if it gives a. It doesn't say when this is specifically published, but I can't imagine it's changed that much. But let's go to something I've marked on here. So here's for instance, this is where New Brunswick Station is located. So you can see that it's 4 tracks. It tells you that it's electrified. It tells you where signals are and everything. You can see that that's the 4-track. Over here, you can see where there's another area past the New Brunswick Station where there are spurs and things, and where the crossovers are to utilize multiple tracks. And so this just goes all the way along the corridor. And so there'll be multiple opportunities to get track features in, and this will help. So if I go down to 2 tracks for the modeling purposes, I can still add stops, if I add station stops, I'm going to have a really gigantic layout. That's why I was only looking at the 3 stops. And along the line, Metuchen and Metro Park are part of the line that I grew up using. So I can at least locate them. You can see here. So for part of this, it actually expands out to another 2 tracks here, a short spur here, and then they come in and they condense back down. So I can certainly get these features in. And then, okay, so this is the point. Let's see here. Oh, so as you're humming along here, then it shows you it goes down to 2 tracks over here because you're going into the tunnel, and this is the North River tunnels, which are actually being rebuilt right now because they're ancient. And here's the lovely Penn Station. Sorry. That's the tracks for Penn Station. So that's way too many to model. So Split Rock, that was the plan, and the person that was gonna build the module itself, it was based on Fremo standards, so that I could hook up with them, bring them, and I could do the 2-track standard with the build so that they can connect to the other modules, and then I can add the 4 tracks for my mod, or the 2 tracks on the outside of that for my modules, or add 3 tracks on single track modules. And so that was the plan. I'll just, at this point, since I'm not going to have somebody else building for me, I'm going to have to start building them. I attempted my 2 modules that I currently have. I attempted to follow some standards, but I think I followed the NMRA standards and not necessarily the Fremo standards, but I thought I was doing Fremo. So I thought about just pulling up the track on those 2 modules just to test doing 4 tracks on the ground and that sort of thing. So some of the intermediate stuff. Let's see here if this has Sunnyside Yard in it. I don't know if it does. So basically, New Jersey Transit goes into Penn Station and basically stops there, and it's Amtrak that'll go north and Long Island Railroad. So there are some further. I thought I had marked it. I thought it was on here somewhere. Bear with me for a moment here. Yeah, I'll have to find the Sunnyside Yard setup. I don't know if it's in. It's probably in another part of the book, but there's the different. They have all their different lines in here. Their coastline and their valley line, and so Atlantic City has a line. So that's that. But that's very helpful though, and will help me get all the track work done. So yes, Northeast Corridor is very busy. That's why they're rebuilding those tunnels, and they're rebuilding one of the bridges because there's traffic jams, and Amtrak becomes late although they're late all over the country. But New Jersey Transit is late. Yeah, the Northeast Corridor it's funny though. The Northeast Corridor Historical Society is called the Philadelphia. Is it called the Philadelphia Division? There isn't like a New Jersey division. It's very interesting. But I followed them, and I talked to when I was out there. I talked to one of the guys that work with them at the Burlington County club. And they do shows and everything, and so they tried to create a module standard that didn't get picked up by people. It wasn't popular, but yeah. I hate GG1s. So, yep. So I've been talking about possibly doing that. I know that my mother would make the drive up to Springfield from New Jersey to go to the show with us. She likes going to the show. She goes to the Greenberg shows out in New Jersey all the time. Always asks me, is there anything I need? Yeah, you can see. So if you want to see the 4-track setup, the New Jersey Historical, the Northeast Corridor Historical Society has a YouTube page that shows their stuff at shows, and you can see, some of the guys have the Cantenary. And you can see GG1s and things like that. So Gopher Girl, all this time they've had this Springfield show. It's at the fairgrounds in West Springfield, and that's right around the corner from my grad school. And I never went. I was right around the corner, both of those years I was up there, and never went. It wasn't on my mind. So we've taken for years, we've taken Amtrak from Minneapolis to New York, or New Jersey. We've done they go all over the place to get to where they're going. Some great scenery going on those. It's definitely cheaper to fly. It's cheaper to fly anywhere than take the train. The train's incredibly expensive. Um, we do get, and we would get a sleeping car for our trips. So we would take one to we take the Empire Builder to from Minneapolis to Chicago. We'd change trains in Chicago. We'd always have a several hour layover. And now they added the Borealis to Chicago, so it would be so you have two options now. But we used to do that and then take the train. And so it was a 2-day trip, a full 2 days to get to New Jersey. And I don't think we could survive in a coach seat for that many hours. Yeah. It'd be tough to do coach. I even one year, so before Dollhouse Miniatures, my mom was an antique dealer, and we used to, all of our vacations, we'd take 2-week vacations, sometimes during the school year, and we'd have to drive everywhere because they'd want to take they'd want to go antiquing as part of the vacation. And so one year I convinced them, we were going down to Florida, we were going to Disney World, and I convinced them, instead of driving the whole way, can't we take the train? And I kept talking about it and told them that they have the auto train. And so we did the auto train, and we did it just one way. We're down to Florida. So we did it from, and the auto train loads in, I think, Virginia. So we drove down to Virginia, took the auto train, and that was coach seats. And my dad did not like that. And so we never did that again. So when is, speaking of Milwaukee, when is the Milwaukee show, or did it happen already? That's one show I wasn't to before it stopped. And, I was thinking about maybe if I don't get out to Springfield, that I get out, to Milwaukee to see that show. Interested to see what the NMRA does with the show. I know they want to do their 90-year celebration. They want to do something for that. But so I've you can see that I've got a lot of things that I want to do, and I get a little jumbled sometimes, and it actually slows me down if I'm not kind of razor focused. And now that I presented the cab car at the convention, I don't have anything to airbrush right now on it, so I could be working on it, but I'm having trouble getting back to that, and I'm thinking of things to move on. Hey, Brad, welcome in. Just welcome. We actually have a show tonight. We've been on for a while. Everything seems to be working. So we've never really had our internet equipment really serviced, I guess you would say. So like it's cable internet, so the coaxial cables are all old and everything. We had them come out finally and look on the outside of the building, and they identified how old and how crappy the equipment was, and they fixed that. Then they came in and replaced all the. We have a couple places where there's cabling, a central place, and then the cables we use to plug into the wall. And so it's been working. And we did the test stream the other night and everything. So everything works, and it's incredibly fast now. Like it's fast like we were supposed to have, and what we pay for. So I'm glad it's working, and that everybody's able to get in here and get an update on what I'm doing. So for instance, like I said, the distraction is I got started on this to air quotes keep me busy, instead of jumping back into the cab car, because I'd like to just finish that one out, and hopefully make it better and make it enough to merit. I don't know if I'll be able to make that one merit, but hopefully I can take the lessons from that and get the other regular one of the other regular passenger cars to merit, and work on that. And speaking of that, I got one of the awards items from the convention. So that I could display it somewhere, which will be on the wall here. But this was from the convention. It was the Merit Award, and this frame I'm getting really cheap now because this frame is 3D printed. That's all. The clips and everything are 3D printed, and it's super light. The screws are not. Those screws are. I went to Home Depot to get those, but I wasn't finding the right size stuff for it anyway. But John Hotvet, our regional AP chair, got this out to me in the mail, and so wanted to frame it and everything. I'm still waiting on the stuff to put on the plaques. Don't have those yet, but hopefully those will come soon. But that was a fun convention for me because I did really well at it. But the cab car did not do well, from a judging standpoint or a evaluation standpoint. It's a rough looking thing, but it should still count as one of the cars. It just won't merit, I don't think, and I'll just have to have merit the other ones. Thanks, Colin. Appreciate it. I didn't put the other plaques up. I still have them. I'm waiting for my nameplate for that as well, and the nameplates for the other awards before I put any of those up. But I have my golden spike up there, and I have my second place award from the TLR convention. I also have a second place award from this convention that I framed with printing out the 3D frame. So for online structures, I got second place. You can't see it, but Split Rock also got an award. It's on the back of this one because they got double printed at the convention. So as you can see, I just reprinted it, same frame. Took nothing at all to do, like 2 hours, and I had 2 frames. So just one of the many side projects to get done. I also want to get back and finish that tank because I had fun putting it together, but I want to get it painted. So I've got to start yelling at Spray Gunner to get that fixed. And then I got to get focused on what I'm doing with the this crazy layout stuff. So with this stuff, how do I do that? Apparently I did something wrong there. I'm going to do a side-by-side here. Or here, do this anyway. So, Brad, we were talking about I need some help with figuring out curves. So my passenger cars are 85 foot. And so there's no way I'm going to be able to do them on like 2x4 modules. So that's how do I switch that up? So these are 85 foot, and so they don't go around curves very easy. And so anybody who can help me with that, please do. I got to figure it out somehow. So that's what I've been up to since these show debacles. Yeah, it is, Jimmy, and that's what's keeping me engaged is all these side projects. And I actually, as much as I didn't like, some of what came out of this, the practice was good, and it'll get better, and not that I'll need it on the New Jersey court or something that heavy, but and so it is definitely good to keep busy, but I don't know. Some of you might feel this way depending on your age and things like that. But I feel like I don't have time. I know I have time to do stuff. And logically, I have time. I know I have time to do stuff. But in my mind, I'm thinking, I'm continuing to get older, and I don't think I'll be retiring until the very end. I don't see myself retiring. And so it feels like crunch time. Like I don't have, because my goal is to become an MMR. And I know some of the guys have done it and are really able to dedicate their time but they're really good at what they do. And I'm getting better at what I'm doing. So I'm trying to, I'm trying to be focused about it. I'm trying to get my mind around being focused about it. And I just don't know what the best way to do it. Doing the car models takes a lot of time. And I feel like that could be a side project to doing like the layout stuff. So I really have to focus on getting the modules together and making sure, that I would like them to be Fremo, so making sure they're Fremo HO Fremo, and then get some track down and start to work on that stuff. Get back to online structures and things that I need as part of the AP program. But definitely engaged, just feeling not focused and feeling rushed. And I think if I'm focused and I started to write a plan at some point of what I should work on. And I don't even know if it's the best plan, but it was like, if, follow this. But if you get into cars take time to build. Everything takes time. So, but those cars take a long time just to pass, just the rolling stock. And then you see me coming in and doing something like this and starting on the engines. Well, at least I'm getting started on it, but I feel like I want to put this down and work on something more, and be focused with what I do. Thank you, Mom. Appreciate it. I was thinking about, you have room boxes and things like that. You don't really deal in doll houses, but I was thinking about what it would be like to weather a dollhouse, so like doing a scene like on a dollhouse, like getting egged on mischief night. That would take some weathering technique. Not that I'm trying to build up to that, but just had that thought. I don't know why I had that thought about egging a house. Maybe it's the neighbors that do that to me. So I know I have to get stuff signed off on Split Rock on the AP. So the volunteer hours are pretty far along. I have at least half from the two events, the two trunk sales, and being a board member at the division level. I've then just picked up being the secretary for the Thousand Lakes region. So, but Jimmy, we got to come up with a way to simulate eggs, not the actual eggs. But I remember Mischief Night, our house always got egged. I may have gone out. Mom, close your ears. I may have gone out a few times and egged some other houses, and that's probably why my house got egged. So, I do take, so one of the things I've done, Colin, is I've taken more breaks now where I'm focusing on hanging out with Gopher Girl and my dogs. And I've tried to do that. So I've spent more time doing that consciously. And it's actually a mood boost and makes me, and then I'm not so antsy all the time about getting stuff done. I don't like to just sit around. That's a hard thing for me. But when we do stuff, like when we spent the day, I didn't think about model railroading yesterday at all. We spent the day out. The dogs were in daycare, and we went about and did our thing for Gopher Girl's birthday, and I didn't think about model railroading. So definitely needed the breaks from stuff so that you're just not, you're not grinding down. But you see, Split Rock, I'm not, I don't know, I'm not an outdoorsy person per se. When I was an athlete and I played soccer, I was, but now I could sit inside in the air conditioning and do model railroading and be perfectly happy. Oh, congratulations, Jimmy. Or if you're moving, hopefully you're moving to a place where you can make a bigger layout. If you're staying put because of the job, congratulations on that too. Yeah, indoor plumbing is just so much more fun than camping nowadays. Fish eggs, Jimmy. Fish eggs, very small. Those would be scale, probably. Um, so, um, so dollhouse miniatures are either 1 to 12 or 1 inch scale, and or 1 to 24, or what they call half scale. And a lot of people use them interchangeably, and they must not look that different. So, I liked N scale, and I liked what I had, and I think that I could do some justice to a Northeast quarter in N scale, but I don't find joy in doing the scratch building and and some of that stuff. I don't enjoy that as much in N scale as I do in HO. Jimmy, if you're willing to share, where are you? In the Twin Cities or outside the Twin Cities? Ken, I every time I see S scale now, it's like I'm slipping. I kind of want to try S scale, and the key to that is you have to build a lot for that. That the commercial products aren't as readily available as other scales, and it's bigger. Oh, right down the road, Jimmy. Cool. Um, we tried to get my mom to move after my dad died. We tried to get my mom to move out to the townhomes where we are because they were just building them, and she could have lived across the street from us. But we were very worried because of the casino down by you in Prior Lake. Um, she loves her casinos, and we thought that might be a little dangerous for her. Great minds, Gopher Girl. Yes, she would love to. She would love to live down there. It would be real close for her. So she always threatens our inheritance, though. Too much information about you, or we did try to get you to move out here, though. We pushed hard to get you to move out here so we could take care of you out here. But you're, I, so my mom moved into a well, I don't know if they call them retirement communities, but plus 55 community, and her house is a really like the layout. It's one floor, but it's gigantic, and it has two wings. So it has, you come in the front door and you look straight back, and it's this huge long um just a huge long, not a hallway, it's very open, and she has a small open area that's her living room that she made look quite a bit like her living room in our old house. Then the kitchen towards the back and dining room on the right, but all open. And then you go to the left and it has her bedroom and two walk-in closets, a gigantic bathroom. If you walk in from the left, to the left of the front door is another wing. It has her den with her TV and everything, has a guest room, has the entrance to the garage, the laundry, another bathroom. It's gigantic, and all I can picture is from the back to the front, I could easily do an HO scale northeast quarter layout if I just used all the way from there. There's like a mini foyer built up by this little ledge that was built to kind of separate that from the rest of the house, but it's really open anyway. But if you if you have the layout, go from there all the way back to the back wall to the back of the house, it would be perfect. But yeah, unfortunately, you can't build a fence there. You're not allowed to build fences, so we can't have our dogs running around there or anything, and so we can't take it over from her. But it was a good place. It's right near her sister, my aunt, and her and my cousin, and so she's got a lot of support there, and that's really why it might have been a little chilly, but that's not why she didn't come out. She's got the bulk of our family's out there, so. So we lost that battle, but then again, I watch Everybody Loves Raymond all the time, and I've seen what it's like to have your parents living across the street. So it all worked out just fine, and we're all happy. Yeah, and Jimmy, I don't know if you were on earlier, but Ken was saying that his project right now is not on the railroad. He's back in the backyard, giving us all a view of the trains, and we're cutting down tree limbs and stuff to get us a better view of everything. So yeah, that'll be fun and everything. So I'm gonna try and get out to that. Um, Yeah. So. that's a scary thought if he was just swinging a machete around, but maybe. Okay. Well, it was nice to be back on and have a successful live stream where you could see things and hear things. So I do want to thank everybody for coming out. I think it's time for Gopher Girl and I to have a little cake. And I will be driving down the road a little bit to Harbor Freight probably tomorrow to see what I can do to help with learning curves and stuff instead of going back to finishing the car, like I said. But as I always say, remember to just jump in and try something. And you may like it, and you may spend lots of money after that. And no, I don't sing. Ken, no singing for me. But yeah, appreciate everybody coming out. This was a lot of fun again to be here. That'll energize me this weekend to really start to work on something and appreciate that. And I appreciate all of you and have a great weekend, everybody. Bye now.